Good morning, Army. This is your friend and buddy Chapadong once again coming at you another DFSArmy.com slate breakdown video. These things are going so fast when we have larger slates. This is just how we're going to have to do it as the season starts winding down. Most of these teams have, 15, 18 games left over before we hit the playoffs, so it's time to start our late season push as well. Things have been going pretty well inside the Army. We've got a lot of new players that have picked up the fundamentals and are starting to produce winning lineups. Guys that weren't cashing are cashing. Guys that have never been part of a community like the DFS Army before are singing our praises out on Twitter and everywhere else. So if you're finding us for the first time, you need to go to DFSArmy.com. You need to take a look at our VIP program. That's where you get the one-on-one access to coaching in all of the sports, from PGA to NBA to hockey to baseballs getting revved up to any sport that you want to play. And basically get into a community of guys that think like you do, want to play like you do. We want to throw a little bit of money out there, enhance our enjoyment of the sports that we like to watch, and hell, maybe win a little bit of money in the process. Many of us inside the Army are consistently winning money. My name is Chapadong. I'm one of the coaches and contributors, again, DFSArmy.com. You can search down in the little description area there for a link that you can then copy and paste right into your browser and jump right onto the website and check out the VIP program. You can also follow me and ask me questions at Chapadong on Twitter anytime that you like. I'm accessible in both areas, but I can go into a lot more detail inside our VIP Slack chat forum inside the Army, and also with the optimizer and other things. We got a lot of questions that we can ask, go back and forth, and really dig in and teach you guys the game. We're not lineup providers or lineup sellers. We teach you to build your own lineups. If that intrigues you, jump on in. Let's dive into the slate. This is kind of an all-value team that I put together as part of the bottom-up construction. If you were a VIP, you would understand the bottom-up construction. We did that for our VIP-only video series here last week, and got a lot of praise from it. So obviously it was working. It helped people out, kind of turn a light bulb on. Let's jump into the slate here tonight. So what do we have? 8 games that we're looking at on March 13th, the Ides of March, huh? Wow. Well, anyway, Columbus and Philadelphia is where we're going to start tonight, and we see that the Vegas line is not that strong. It's a minus 120. That's actually crept up. I had it at a minus 110, and I had the line going down off of the 120 to a minus 110, so bear that in mind. You've got a couple of active teams in shots on goal, whereas Columbus is about the 6th most active and Philadelphia is about the 4th most. I look at 4-week numbers, in case you're wondering. I go back and look at the last 4 weeks when I'm tracking my numbers. Columbus has been putting up some points lately, and Columbus owns the head-to-head advantage here between these two teams over their last 10 meetings with an 8-2 record. I do like Columbus for some skaters. You can't go wrong with Simmons. You can't go wrong with some of these guys on the Phillies side, but I just think that Columbus is in a little bit better spot, and tonight is a weird slate in that there's a bunch of teams out there, and nobody has real clear matchup advantages where it's a good team facing a bad team. It's either a couple of bad teams, a couple of mediocre teams, a couple of good teams facing each other. So you're going to really have to spread yourself out and get exposure to a lot of different stuff on a night like tonight, or draw the line in the sand somewhere and just hope it pans out. I like Columbus better than Philadelphia. Tampa Bay and the New York Rangers. This game's kind of a mediocre game, even though New York's turned it on a little bit, and Tampa Bay can score at will with Kucherov, Hedman, guys like that. These guys, again, they're all kind of okay, but for the prices, I'm not seeing a ton of guys bringing very consistent value when it comes right down to it. Your backup goalie in New York being on a back-to-back, Hellberg here, should get the start tonight, so that might give you a little bit of a boost to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay lately, their last 10 games, 7-2-1 record, and the old Vasil here, I almost might as well just call him Vagisil or something like that, right? 5-1 in his last 6 starts. So the guy's running pretty good. Is he a trusted goalie tonight? I don't know. I need to see a Vegas line to confirm. And New York has stepped it up a little bit lately, so I don't really know where I stand on that one yet. I do know that Kucherov is in play. I do know that Hedman's in play. You've got a couple of things here you can do in that game. Carolina and the New York Islanders, we've got a minus 140 game total here on the New York side. That line has also come down. Vegas is tending to maybe slide a little bit in Carolina's direction. Do I know if Carolina's going to win? No. But what I do know is that this isn't as sure a thing as it opened up earlier in the morning. Again, not a lot in terms of shots on goal, not a lot here between these two teams in terms of fantasy points. I tend to look at season-long numbers and then 4-week numbers when I'm kind of comparing as a team on the rise or on the fall. And a couple of weeks back, we had the New York Islanders that were in about the top 5, top 6 teams in terms of scoring fantasy points for us. And so we were all over Bailey, Lee, Ladd, guys like that. We were all over them. And they've since slacked off. They have dropped all the way down to about the 19th most offensive team. So from 5th down to 19th tells me they're kind of slumping. Their defense has not been great. They've been a top 5 team in terms of giving up points, and they still are ranked 7th. So they haven't really changed there. They're still giving up points. And if you think that Carolina's turned it on a little bit lately, go for it. They were in the bottom of the league, 25 to 30th, and they're ranked 25th now. So, I mean, they can, somebody like Aho, whatever, these guys can kind of jump up on you. You got a Teravainen or whatever, however you pronounce his name, on the power play 1 line now and on the top line for the wing at cheap prices. So it's not the worst shot to take if you're looking at a place like this. But again, I just think there might be a little bit better opportunity tonight. You want to come down here and grab them as one-offs, by all means, feel free. The guy in this lineup, I don't see him, so never mind. Let's move on. Winnipeg and Nashville, this is your chalk game of the night. This is the game that's going to do the most, and here's why. Winnipeg may have lost their last 3, and Nashville has the 145 advantage, but again, that line is coming down in terms of what Vegas thinks about this game, which means it's getting to be a little bit more evenly matched. You're looking at about 3 goals each team. It might shoot out. That's usually what this 6 indicates. And when you're looking at shots on goal, you don't see a couple of mediocre teams in terms of shooting the puck and giving up shots. But when you look at fantasy scoring, that's where you're seeing things really kind of indicate this game might be the game to focus on tonight. If I look at the 4-week numbers, points 4, fantasy points 4. Winnipeg is ranked 4th in the league, and Nashville's ranked 3rd in the league. And over the past couple of weeks, these numbers have not really changed. These teams have been scoring fantasy points. Good sign. Now, defensively, how are they in terms of giving up fantasy points? Are they a little soft or are they a little stingy? Well, in terms of giving up fantasy points, Winnipeg is ranked 5th, which means they're giving up quite a bit of points, and Nashville's ranked 4th, which means they're giving up just slightly more points than Winnipeg. So you've got teams that are scoring points, top 5 offenses right now, the way they're rolling, and you've got teams that are giving up points to each other, top 5 in that category as well. So when we see that line up, those stars line up, we've got a very strong indicator that tonight could be a very, very good game. This is where I would spend most of my money and most of my time. And we might get into who here in a little bit. But this is your chalk game. Pekka Rinne allows goals. When I was looking at him, 2, 3, 4 goals are not out of the question for him. And in a game like this where Winnipeg comes into town firing, I don't know if I would really be on Pekka Rinne tonight. I might be in a different game. So running down to Pittsburgh, this is your hot take of the day. Pittsburgh and the Calgary Flames may have a 5.5 total, and this one really may ram it up my bum. But I'm going to tell you that Pittsburgh is a little bit overpriced. And I am completely off of Pittsburgh tonight. If you want to take them, by all means. Am I telling you that they're a horrible team all of a sudden? No. Pittsburgh scores the most fantasy points of any offense in the league over the last 4 weeks. That doesn't very often change. They're usually in the top 3. They shoot the puck. They also give up some points. They play in some shootout type of games. But the reason why I don't necessarily like Pittsburgh tonight is the Calgary Flames and Brian Elliott are white hot. They are 9-0-1 and they've won their last 9 games in a row. Are they due to get that streak stopped? Absolutely. But is it going to be tonight? I don't know. As well as they are playing, Calgary only allows, when it comes to giving up fantasy points, Calgary right now is ranked 28th, near the bottom of the league, one of the more stingy defenses right now. So again, you put that on top of Pittsburgh. You put Brian Elliott, who's 9-1 in his last 10, and he has posted back-to-back shutouts like Bobrovsky did last week. What you've got is a hot goaltender, a hot defense. They're not allowing a lot of fantasy points, and you got Pittsburgh rolling into them. Well, that should suppress the fantasy point total a little bit, which means Pittsburgh should be overpriced. They're not living up to those prices, in this matchup. Now, can they explode? Absolutely. You want to run them in GPPs? Absolutely, go for it. But for cash plays, I think there are cheaper options out there, primarily in this game over here. But that can backfire on you. You're kind of hanging your balls out there when you tell people to fade off Pittsburgh. Names like Malkin, very consistent. He might be the one I took out of tonight's game. Gensel's been good lately. Bonino's been good lately. So they're there if you want to jump in there. LA and St. Louis, I'm off that game. They're both a little hot. LA has won 2 in a row. St. Louis has won 4 in a row. Their goalies are pretty damn good. Jonathan Quick, 4-0-1 in his last 5 starts. St. Louis is scoring some goals again, but I don't know how this game's going to go, and I don't honestly like this game very much. I will say this 155 total's on the way up for Jonathan Quick, so Vegas is starting to put a little bit of support behind the Kings tonight, which should take us off of St. Louis. But, once again, not the worst situation in the world. I just don't like it myself, partly because I'm a St. Louis guy, and I don't want to get too caught up in what I should be doing. So Boston is in another good spot tonight, even though that 5 total, and Vancouver does play better at home. Here's your chalk goalie of the night, Tuukka Rask, 185 total. This one is actually coming down. It's about a minus 180 now, but that's not enough of a movement to make me think that they're not going to win the game. There's a good bit of value in Boston tonight. Boston scores the 11th most points in the league, and Vancouver gives up the 3rd most point in the league. So you get yourself another one of those good offenses going up against a soft defense situation. If you jump over here into Colorado and Arizona, this is kind of crap on crap, right? These are the 2 teams we love to target. Arizona plays better at home. They tend to score goals at home. You want to run a Verbata? Go for it. You want to run a Martinuk? He's been hot lately. Go for it. You want to run an Ekman-Larsson or a Goligoski? Go for it. These guys are all okay. I don't know that they're necessarily cash safe considering what we've got on the docket today. But, if you want to match up against Colorado and pick on them a little bit, feel free. They both give up a lot of points when it comes to fantasy point scoring. So does that really round out our slate? Are we done with all 8 games? Awesome. Let's jump over into the all value line. I want to show you a couple of things. I want to show you some of the names that I've run in defense. Morrissey, cheap. He only needs to get you about 1.5 points to bring in value, not even. So he's going to get you that, and he allows you to spend up elsewhere. Where are you going to spend up tonight? Well, that is on you. Engeland, or however you'd pronounce that name, is in another good spot. If you look at him, he's got 43 what I consider shot blocks. That's my own little phrase. It's blocked shots plus shots on goal. 20 and 23 in his last 10 games is 43. 43 is about an average of 4, over his last 10 games, right? 43 divided by 10 is 4.3. You cut that in half because it's half a point per, and you're at a 2-point floor. A 2-point floor is right on the 2/3 value we're looking for. When we're looking at salary by the 1,000, if I see a 3 in the front here, I'm looking for 2 points in fantasy to get me 2/3. If it was an 8, I'm looking for a 5. Making sense? So I'm trying to find that floor already in the activity on these cheap guys. He's averaging 2.7 points, which is almost a 1-to-1 ratio, which is awesome. I dive into his fantasy game log, and I see 2.5, 3, 3.5, 2. Hasn't screwed me yet. Now he's starting to screw me a little bit, but there's a 5, and there's whatever. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games out of 10 I can live with. That's a 70% chance that he's going to bring value. I like it. I like those kind of numbers. I'm not afraid to run the guy out there. I think tonight your defense has your value, and I think it's going to be hard to find up here in your centers and your wings who's actually producing. These are the guys that I have as of right now, and I want to show you Peralt because Winnipeg's in a good spot. And you're going to see, holy cow, 3.7 and a 4.6. That's a pretty doggone good ratio, right? It's better than the 2/3 we're looking for. So let's check the game log and see if he's consistent here in just a second or two. As soon as the computer picks up on me, my God. Oh, this computer pisses me off sometimes. So if I go to the game log, look at this. Crap. Last 4 games in a row, he's kind of screwed us over. On the back end of this game log is where all of his points are scoring. So he's kind of fallen off the pace. If you don't look a little bit deeper into the numbers and you only look at this average and this salary and go, okay, he's good to go, you're going to screw yourself because you're not looking deep enough into the numbers to realize that was all a week and a half ago. As of lately, he's fallen off the pace. So I'm not on him for cash. Can he bounce back and have a game? Sure, but I'm not on him for cash. That's kind of how you do this, guys. You build your value in here, you start popping guys out, you start upgrading, and you start moving up the scale into your Kucherovs if that's where you want to go. So anyway, I'm Chapadong. That was your 8-game slate, a little bit of value talk. Join the DFS Army at dfsarmy.com. Follow the link in the description, and we will see you in a couple of days.